easy from Eddie Hernandez.
I know usually that dumbass commentator would start the show, but tonight I figured it would be me. And who better? Because I simply am the greatest US champion there's ever been. And don't take my word for it. Just look at the numbers. Look at how long I've held the belt. Look at who I beat to win it. I'm the greatest that there's ever been. And Dakota, my sister, she's the greatest world champion that there's ever been. Team Kick is running the show on GAW. And so the reason that I came out here is because I wanted to tell everyone face to face that there is no one that can challenge me for my title. And there's no one that can challenge Dakota for her title. We stand alone in... Oh, this is a way to start things off here. Bianca Belair. She's coming off a loss to Rosita, but certainly not a clean one. And so you would think that Belair would turn her attention towards the member of LAX, but I think we're all happy to see her out here taking on Tegan Nox. And you know what? I resent that comment from Nox about my show openings. And certainly I don't think that Nox would be considered the greatest US champion of all time right now. I'm certain that Bianca Belair agrees with me in that assessment. Honey, you need to chill out. You want to come in here and talk about the greatest US champion of all time when you have Ronda Rousey in that same category? A woman who defended her title 8 times, and you've done it once. You've done it once and you had to take out your opponent's manager. Please, please, come on now. Hey, the numbers don't lie. The numbers simply don't lie. Now, you please tell me why you're out here, first of all, and second, why you think that you have earned some kind of shot at the US Championship. Oh, it's very simple. You see, I've got a match coming up. I've got a match against one of the most dangerous women in this company. And when I beat her, I'm coming for you. We're all sick and tired of seeing what you've done with the US Championship, devaluing a belt that used to mean a lot, even if Ronda Rousey wasn't everyone's cup of tea. That's why I'm coming for you, bitch. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, there's no need for unpleasantness here. We're all friends. And some of us just are better champions than others. Some of us are better in the ring than others. I'm sorry that it has to be like that. But you can do whatever you want in your match coming up, but you're gonna have to earn a title shot. That's all I know. Yeah, I figured you'd react that way. So let me tell you who I'm facing. I'm facing a woman that could put you to sleep in 2 seconds, but I'm not gonna let her, because I'd rather kick your ass in the middle of the ring, take you down 1, 2, 3 with the KOD. Shayna Baszler's the woman I'm going against, and then it's Bianca Belair versus Tegan Nox. Well, apparently Tegan Nox wants none of this. Shayna Baszler returns to the fold in GAW. No Ronda Rousey by her side. You heard Bianca Belair also reference Ronda, the first US champion, and I think she's right in her assessment that Ronda is a better champion looking back than Tegan Nox. Certainly Ronda did not have respect for the women's division that we would expect from a great champion, but she certainly had respect for the title. It doesn't seem that Tegan Nox has either, and Nox now has hightailed it. But Bianca Belair has committed to beating Shayna Baszler here and then coming after Tegan Nox. Well, that first part is much, much easier said than done. Let's see if Bianca Belair can back up her claims. I certainly would love to see somebody give Tegan Nox a real challenge for that U.S. Championship. We have yet to see Kacy Catanzaro back in the fold after Nox and Dakota Kai took her out of commission for what has been a very long time. And certainly Kacy Catanzaro still has a lot to settle with both members of Team Kick after they cost her belt. Catanzaro was the one who finally beat Ronda Rousey. Rousey and Shayna Baszler came back. They formed the Blue Bloods early on, and it helped Ronda become the first U.S. champion. Shayna Baszler ended up challenging Asuka in the main event of Winterfest last year to be the world champion. Double axe handle off the top from Belair. Baszler was unsuccessful in that challenge. Belair goes for the strike, caught by Baszler. Now we've seen Baszler's training partners, her former four horsewomen teammate Jessamyn Duke in GAW Dark last week. Duke making her return from a serious back injury, so we're glad she's back, and maybe we'll see a little reunion. Belair goes for the kick, caught by Baszler in a dragon screw leg whip. Certainly you'd think Tegan Nox, there's a lot on the line for her here. I think it seems evident that whoever wins this match will be the #1 contender, at least on paper, for the U.S. Championship. It's hard to say for sure. Belair trying to roll out of it. Baszler into the hammerlock, but Belair with that vicious elbow. Belair goes for the strike, caught by Baszler, and now Baszler has the double leg and a takedown. That MMA background of Baszler paying dividends right now. Boot, and Baszler looking for that gut wrench, but Belair comes out of it. And now Belair hoists Baszler up. Uh-oh, Baszler could be in trouble here. KOD. Bianca Belair promised that she would deliver the KOD first to Baszler and then to Nox, and she's done the first part. Belair takes down Shayna Baszler. She avoided the triple gut wrench and KOD, and it is over for Bianca Belair. And now you think, like I say, on paper, she's got to be the #1 contender for Tegan Nox's U.S. Championship. Oh, come on. Tegan Nox, I think she knows that Belair is going to be the #1 contender. Nox trying to get out in front of it and end Bianca Belair. Unbelievable here from Tegan Nox, trying to get the cheap shot in on Belair. We'll get some people out to separate these two folks coming up in our main event. It is going to be a fatal four-way elimination style for World Championship #1 contendership. Drew McIntyre, Walter, Zack Sabre Jr., and Will Ospreay facing off for the sole opportunity to face Aleister Black for the World Championship. We'll be hearing from Black later on, but first, let's get to the Usos, the tag team champions. They fight War Machine next. War Machine, one of the most terrifying teams in the world, to be sure, but in GAW, where you talk about the depth of the tag teams that we have here, it's hard for War Machine to really get a footing, and that's been the case really since season 1 for this duo. But now would be the time for Hanson and Rowe to really figure it out against the Usos, as Jimmy and Jay, the tag team champions. If you get a win against them here, you got to think that they will be the number one contenders for those belts. Let's see if they can make it happen. Check out some new belts for the Usos. The GAW Tag Team Champions, and they've got some beautiful belts to match. They've been cryptically alluding to the fact that maybe they've got some new hardware on Twitter, and speaking of Twitter, the Usos, specifically Jimmy, went there to respond to the mighty Don't Kneel from last episode, and here is the tweet. He says, quote, "We like Australia too, but mostly for the beaches and the surfing. Never been a big fan of the wrestlers. TMDK has our attention, but not our respect. P.S. Peep the new belts. We certainly are, and TMDK, you've been called out by the tag team champs." The Usos have been nearly unstoppable over the last year plus in GAW. Their only real loss comes to the Lucha Brothers when Jey Uso was removed from the match and it became a 2-on-1 handicap match courtesy of Alpha. That's really their only loss in the last over a year. In the past year, they've been tag champions for more time than they have not, so this is a team, I mean, they are absolutely for real. Now, War Machine is also for real, and War Machine is incredibly dangerous. Jimmy getting chastised there by the referee, but it doesn't matter. Still a tag in here. Hanson runs back into a pop-up Samoan drop. The Usos going to work early here against War Machine. Jimmy trying to hoist up the 300-pounder, can't quite get him, and Hanson sends him back into the corner. Tag here from War Machine. And now, Jimmy eats a knee and a lariat to the back. Real damage done here from Hanson and Rowe, but you got to do a lot to put down the Usos. And speaking of putting down the Usos, certainly TMDK will have their eyes set on the tag team champions. Oh, look at this. Jimmy Uso rolls Rowe into a tequila sunrise. He doesn't have the full torque on it that he usually gets, but still a painful submission, and Rowe has no choice but to tap out. It's a dominant win for the Usos. It is a dominant win for Jimmy and Jey Uso. Make no mistake, War Machine in almost any company in the world would be challenging for the tag team titles, if not tag team champions. But here in GAW, you run into a buzzsaw like the Usos, and unfortunately, this is the result. Jimmy and Jey running through War Machine. These tag team champs are for real, and TMDK, they might want to think twice about stepping in the ring with the Usos. It's a great performance from Jimmy and Jey, putting down their challengers with almost no sweats broken. Who is going to dethrone these men? TMDK hope it's them. We'll have to see going forward. Folks, the main event, as I mentioned, is a #1 contenders match for the World Championship. Before we get to that, let's go backstage where Aleister Black is addressing the proceedings. I don't talk much, as you can tell. And I don't think a lot of you want me to talk very much. But one thing that I do know how to do is fight. That's what the World Championship is about. That's why I was so intent on winning this. Not for the glory, not for the money, but because I want to fight, and I want to fight the best wrestlers on the planet. And that's what we're about to see next match. 4 men that I believe really deserve to fight for this World Championship. And so I am not afraid of any of them. I bet you knew I was going to say that. But one thing I can tell you is I do respect all of them. I can tell you that the minute after that main event concludes, I will be in the gym, I will be in the training room, working on my striking, working on my game plan, watching film, doing everything I need to do to beat whoever comes out of that match, who will be the most dangerous man in this company. To be a world champion, you have to stay one step ahead, and that's exactly what I intend on doing. I will never be afraid of anyone who comes for my championship. I will always work harder than I ever have every single day. Every day you see me, I will be working harder than I did the day before. Because that's what being a world champion is about. Not about talking, but about fighting. And that's what I intend to do. Strong words from Aleister Black, fearless as ever, as we would expect from the GAW World Champion. Folks, we are very pleased to announce 2 matches coming up for the next episode of Friday Night Storm. Aleister Black, the world champ, he will be in action against Keith Lee in non-title action. And we will also see the mighty Don't Kneel, TMDK, calling the Usos bluff, taking on War Machine, the team we just saw lose to the Usos in very straightforward fashion. Now, let's get to our main event of this night, a number 1 contenders match. Drew McIntyre coming off a brilliant match last week with Keith Lee, who we now know will be facing Aleister Black next week. So McIntyre basically earned his way into this match. You got to assume that if Lee had won, he would be here instead. But McIntyre will have to outlast 3 other men to become the number 1 contender. Meanwhile, Keith Lee, he only has to beat 1 in order to throw us into total chaos if Keith Lee were to get a win over Aleister Black. But of course, that's much easier said than done when it comes to the Dutch Destroyer. You got to think Drew McIntyre liking his odds against these 3 versus against just Aleister Black. Zack Sabre Jr., a member of the Mob, a man who was in the Intercontinental Championship number 1 contender battle royal last week in the main event, and clearly Conor McGregor pulling some strings backstage, signing those contracts, getting Zack Sabre Jr. involved in some of these matches. Conor McGregor, of course, involved both with CM Punk when he kicked Punk out of the Mob. Punk had been in for all of one night before McGregor ousted him. And then, of course, he was involved in the Battle Royal for Intercontinental Championship number 1 contendership. He made sure Adam Cole couldn't win it, so Ricochet did. Ricochet is the number 1 contender, and Zack Sabre Jr. may well be the World Championship number 1 contender after tonight. There may be no man in this company more intimidating than the Ring General. Walter, we saw him on Dark this past Wednesday. Go check out his match there. It was a straightforward match, as you can imagine, taking on Hansen of War Machine. And Walter absolutely made the 300-pounder look like a child, powerbombed him multiple times, sent a clear message to the other 3 men in this match that Walter has got to be the odds-on favorite in a situation like this. When you talk about Will Ospreay, you talk about a man who went 18-3 last year. He is an immortal part of GAW after he unified the Cruiserweight and Intercontinental Championships, so he will be remembered forever. But one thing that he now must have his eye on, given how successful he's been over the last year, is the GAW Triple Crown, or even the Golden Ring. This would be a great step towards winning every belt in the company for Ospreay. And you got to think that he's got a real chance here, given his track record. These 3 men combined to win 30 matches last year. And Zack Sabre Jr. got Will Ospreay into the octopus stretch very early on here. Ospreay able to work his way out of it. Walter and Drew McIntyre battling. Ospreay and Zack Sabre Jr. It's obvious that those two would go at it. They've been in a long and storied rivalry for a long time now. Big clothesline from Ospreay, and Walter has McIntyre up. Power bomb from the giant Austrian. McIntyre back to his feet somehow. Ospreay stretching out the knee of Zack Sabre Jr. Walter and McIntyre have gone out of the ring. Ospreay into the corner, but Zack Sabre Jr. was a little bit too careless there. Ran in, bounced right off the ropes. Ospreay and Sabre, they did battle over the Intercontinental Championship. They did battle over the Cruiserweight Championship. Will Ospreay debuted the Chaos Project submission in a submission match against Zack Sabre Jr. Now going for a cover is Ospreay, kick out at 1. The question here is whether or not Conor McGregor is going to get involved on behalf of Zack Sabre Jr. Cattle mutilation in the middle of the ring here from Zack. The submission master showing exactly why he's earned that title, but Will Ospreay using the core strength. Walter and McIntyre are getting further and further away from this ring. They are going at it now. A little bit of history between them, both in GAW and in promotions all over the world. It's amazing how clearly you can see that guys have this animosity with each other. Ospreay comes off the ropes now in the ring. Zack Sabre going for an elbow, blocked by Ospreay. The aerial assassin has him up, but Zack Sabre Jr. plants him with a reverse DDT. And now Zack Sabre grounded hammerlock and has the arm of Ospreay and now pulling back. Got his knee down, wrenching on that submission, and he taps Will Ospreay out. Zack Sabre Jr. has the first elimination of this match. And fittingly, it's a submission against Will Ospreay. Zack Sabre Jr. now throws Drew McIntyre back into the ring. They're going to leave Walter for dead out there. As Zack Sabre Jr. has designs on Drew McIntyre right now. He's got designs on winning this match, but McIntyre has other ideas. Will Ospreay has to be disappointed with his performance here, but that submission can catch you out of nowhere, and Walter has made his way back in, and Walter using the strength. Tossing Zack Sabre Jr., and Sabre now rolls out of the ring. Walter could have McIntyre in trouble, and plants him with that devastating lariat. Walter goes for the cover on McIntyre, and Walter has another elimination. McIntyre is out. He was knocked out cold by that lariat. And now it's Walter and Zack Sabre Jr. Whoa, hey, what is this? Backstage, CM Punk is attacking Conor McGregor. That's why Conor is not out here helping his mob teammates. CM Punk has taken it right to Conor McGregor, and we get back into the ring. Zack Sabre Jr. trying to lock Walter in the octopus stretch, but Walter caught the leg and didn't allow Sabre to lock it in. And Walter now, boot to the gut. Walter could have Sabre in serious trouble. Up into the powerbomb position goes Sabre, and Walter drops him down. High stack cover from the ring general, and Walter is the #1 contender. What a match. Wow. Walter cleans house, and without Conor McGregor to help Zack Sabre Jr., Zack was no match for the giant Walter. You can see that Zack was doing everything he could to get his way out of that powerbomb. That was the octopus stretch that Walter prevented. You can see right here, Zack is doing everything he can to get out of this powerbomb, but the strength of Walter is too much. And Walter is the #1 contender. I would never be one to suggest that Aleister Black is worried, but if the world champion was ever to be concerned, this would be the time. Walter is coming for that belt. Folks, thank you so very much, as always, for tuning in here on GA Wrestling. Of course, visit our website, generaladmissionwrestling.com, for full recaps of every show. You'll never have to miss a minute. And join us back here on Monday for GAW Academy Storm Chaser. We have a giant announcement. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.